Hello, everyone. We are the University of Colorado Boulder team, and this is our project proposal presentation. Our team has two parts: myself, Devin Lindsay, Eli Heinerfeld, Jeff Jones, Ben Kite, and Avery Ostrand will be leading the presentation portion today, and then Hannah Livingston, Drew Martin, Darren Meeker, Emily Troutwine, and Giselle Yee will be joining us for the Q&A portion of the presentation. So we were tasked by the Department of Energy and NREL to design distributed energy generation through the use of solar PV and battery storage systems for the University of Central Florida. The University of Central Florida houses one of the largest student populations in the US, and they have a campus-wide goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. They're hoping to maximize PV generation on their campus without excess energy exports. We have designed a set of solar PV and battery storage systems to provide the university with renewable energy generation to help them meet their campus's electric load, as well as to help them reach their goals of carbon neutrality by 2050.
As Devin just said, and to emphasize, University of Central Florida wants as much economic solar production on their campus as possible with as little net excess exports. Financial sustainability is important, but the focus of this project is going to be on energy independence as stated in the master plan. And University of Central Florida wants energy incorporated in a way that flows with their campus and optimizes space without interfering with future land use plans. We are provided with 3 design areas for this competition. The primary zone consists of the main campus rooftops, and these are very visible to the campus population. We chose not to design on parking lots as to not conflict with future land use plans designated by the university. We designed and optimized 13 rooftops and a parking garage installation for potential photovoltaic installation. The secondary competition area is the ground mount, and the tertiary competition area is a pond for potential photovoltaic installation. We recommend a system that generates most of the power in these 2 zones while focusing on visibility on main campus. It is also very important to highlight that University of Central Florida is located in a very environmentally sensitive area.
We have 4 proposed systems, the first being a 12.2 megawatt ground mount system producing 18.2 gigawatt hours annually. This system by far has the best customer savings with a PPA of about 6 cents per kilowatt hour. It's a great way for UCF to obtain their goal for carbon neutrality by 2050, due to the system making up about 85% of the combined system annual production of our systems. We have incorporated a battery system to store any energy that is going over the daily campus load, which will be talked about later on. And we have chosen to use the SunPower X Series commercial 470 watt solar panel, which will be mounted on pile-driven structures with double rack mounts supporting each panel for stability and resilience against any extreme weather events such as hurricane season. We have also used the same type of solar panels for each of our other systems. The spacing between the arrays is set for optimal sunlight for each panel, as well as sunlight for agrivoltaics, which would be a great option for this ground mount system if UCF is interested.
So for the development of the ground mounted system, there are several major considerations inside the designated area that we had to take into account. In the bottom right, there's a residential zone imposing a hard 200-foot boundary on any ground-mounted solar installations as per county ordinance. That border is shown here in orange. There are also 2 wetland conservation areas at the top and bottom of the plot, shown in green. Development of any kind is discouraged inside these areas and in their immediate surroundings. So on top of the standard permitting required for an electrical or a large electrical system like this, we will also have to apply for tree clearing permits and comply with local environmental regulations and permitting to make sure that this development won't harm these wetlands. With that in mind, we have aimed to leave what we consider to be a decent buffer area around them. We decided to split the installation essentially into 2 pieces here in order to avoid the utility corridor running through the middle of the property. And lastly, we have the yellow line that carves out a section on the western side of the property. This line is tracking a 550-foot boundary from the Little Econ River just over to the west. And this area is actually designated as a critical area of the Econ-Lonkachty River Protection Zone in the county codebook. In order to have this altered for development, we will have to plan to fund a series of ecological and hydrological assessments just to ensure that the system wouldn't cause any damage to the river basin or any protected species or habitats that could be in the area or found with further investigation that would come in the environmental permitting process. But since there seem to be plenty of other developments in this area, including a large Raytheon Technical Services facility located just outside of the frame, essentially built on top of the river, and given that getting approval and also, of course, pending the environmental assessments, we do feel fairly confident that we'll be able to get approval for a large solar installation on the property.
So the photovoltaics are our second largest system with a power rating of 1.8 megawatts and an annual energy production of 1.3 gigawatt hours. The PPA for the system is a little bit more expensive than the ground mount, but it is made up for by the uniqueness and visibility. It is located near the sports fields, so there will be plenty of spectators for the system.
We lost you, Eli.
Do you want to take over, Ben?
Yeah, I can take over this. I just wasn't sure if it was just on my end. So the photovoltaic panels achieve a PPA about 2 cents per kilowatt more than the ground mount system, which is made up for by the uniqueness in its visibility. It is located near the sports field, so there will be plenty of spectators to see this system. Although it is located kind of far from main campus, the system has a higher environmental efficiency due to the colder water keeping the system from overheating, and panels will be mounted directly onto floating pontoons. This system is great because it maximizes the space used while minimizing the complexity of the system. Next slide, please. So the carports are the next proposed photovoltaic installation we'll be discussing today. This is our third largest and most efficient system. They utilize the land for energy generation without interfering with existing parking areas. The canopy structure fits snugly on top of the parking garage so that we do not need to sacrifice any of UCF's valuable real estate for this installation. They provide optimal coverage for the car, protecting it from weather, debris, the sun, or any other harmful elements that can be a nuisance in a conventional parking lot. Carport systems do not require significant maintenance due to their ease of installation and simplicity in structure. University of Central Florida wants a visual demonstration of solar capability, so we designed side-mounted panels to be oriented towards the center of campus. As you can see, peeping just above the tree line on the southeast and southwest facing walls, there are 2 awning-style solar panel systems. As these are mounted on the wall, this will be much easier for the campus population to see every day how University of Central Florida is dedicated to their mission of sustainability.
So, hi, sorry, I'm back. So for our last system, we have our rooftop system, which is the Student Union building. And after analyzing the 13 buildings that were given to us as rooftop options, we decided to go with a 321.9 kilowatt rooftop mounted system with an annual energy production of 437.6 megawatt hours. The Student Union is located at the center of campus, and there's also, as you can see in the photo, multiple layers to the roof. So this combined allows for great visibility of the solar installations. Our goal with this system was to try and maximize the power output while also keeping a relatively high efficiency, which this is the reason for the different tilted and angled solar panels on each of the roofs. The main reason that some of the roofs don't have solar panels is due to the sizing. With the fire codes for perimeter walkways and spacing of panels, we could only use the larger rooftops.
So for the design of our battery system, we use the NREL software Reopt Lite. Reopt Lite allowed us to optimize the size of the battery while also optimizing the battery dispatch profile to gain full advantage of peak shaving and load shifting. As you can see in the figure at the bottom, the capacity of our installed battery is less than 1% the annual production of the ground mount system. This was due to us needing to balance the financial benefits of peak shaving and load shifting with the capital costs of installing the battery. The siting of this battery was based on the soil data for the ground mount zone, as well as considerations from distribution modeling. So for all of our proposed and designed systems, we used OpenDSS to analyze the impact of interconnection. We were primarily concerned with voltage violations and thermal overloads. So we modeled both all of the proposed systems and then all of the designed systems as well in OpenDSS, and we found that there was no increase in voltage violations. As you can see in this graph on the right, the min and maximum voltage, both within the distribution network and on the transformer nodes, stays well within the ONSI voltage limits. We also found that both of these systems had a net decrease in thermal overloads as compared to the base case due to some of our recommended upgrades.
So in the OpenDSS simulation, we have gone ahead and given each of our proposed systems a dedicated transformer to tie it into the grid. These dedicated PV transformers were designed just to accommodate loads associated with the PV system. On top of proposing the PV transformers, in the process of analyzing the thermal overloads, we identified 3 different transformers throughout the UCF grid that happen to be routinely experiencing overloads well above their emergency power ratings. So the first 3 rows in this table show each of these units with their existing ratings, as well as the increased ratings of our recommended replacements. And in addition to these, we have transformer 593. This transformer was identified in the use case as the one to use for any proposed solar installation on the retention pond. But for our photovoltaic system, we found that this size was simply not suitable with the size of photovoltaics that we went with. So we've recommended an upgrade to a more reasonable size. And the final row here is not an upgrade to any existing electrical infrastructure, but a recommendation for the proposed trench lines that will need to be run out to the ground mount system. We found that in order to get rid of thermal overloads on these new ground mount lines, we had to define it as a 1000 kc mill wire instead of the typical 4.0 gauge used throughout the rest of the grid at UCF. And as Devin just said, with all these upgrades in place, we do not anticipate any major issues interconnecting our systems.
So for coming to our decision for our proposed aggregate system, we looked at 3 key metrics for the University of Central Florida. We looked at the energy dependence we could offer them through the annual production of the systems. We looked at the customer savings that we could offer them, and we also looked at the visibility of the PV systems. As we can see in this graphic, the ground mount with the battery on its own provides great customer savings, but by adding some of the other systems, we can increase the annual production that we can provide to UCF. We found that larger systems such as the ground mount and Carport offered better customer savings while offering comparable annual production to adding some of the smaller systems like all of the rooftops on main campus. So that's how we decided on our proposed system, as well as implementing the student union building to increase the visibility on central campus. In looking at adding a battery, there were a couple trade-offs. It was clear that implementing a battery decreased the annual production due to thermal cycling losses, but it did increase the customer savings by around $500,000. So we decided to go with the implementation of a battery, considering that our system was already exporting energy.
Yeah, so after we finished the iterative financial process to find the most beneficial system economics, we decided on this combination for our recommended system. In total, it's about a 15 megawatt system with the addition of a 361 kilowatt battery and a monthly lease price of around $148,000. Again, knowing UCF's want for carbon neutrality and more sustainable energy independence, we sized the system to be as large as possible while remaining under the net export constraints as set by Duke Energy, since UCF cannot sell back or export more energy than the equivalent of its daytime load. So when calculating the IRR and lease price, we set a goal of having a net present value of 0 and found the rates under that constraint. As you can see, our rates for our solar only systems are 7.5%, which is standard for a mid-sized system as laid out by NREL. Basically, we're just ensuring that we're meeting current market standards. For our battery systems, which we analyzed through a program called SAM, although we could not get a net present value of 0, we still achieved a positive return back to investors and a higher rate of return than current market standards of 10.25%, creating overall what we believe to be an attractive option to energy investors. So when it comes to UCF and the financial benefits that they can expect to see, we are recommending that they pursue the 20-year lease contract. Purchasing the system upfront would actually cause UCF to lose money because the net present value of a cash purchase is offered at the discount rate, and we can offer a more competitive investor rate. Overall, it would save them anywhere from $300,000 to $1.5 million, depending upon the demand customer savings, which are highly variable due to weather and things like that. Overall, our recommended system provides the university with the opportunity to not only save money through sustainable energy implementation, but also hopefully inspire those who see it to practice more sustainable efforts in their own life and potentially other campuses around the nation to do the same. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any and all questions about our proposal.